Hi, this is Kerry Artak with Wicked Stocks, bringing you your daily Tesla report for Thursday, May 22nd, 2025. Let's take a look at the charts. Once again, I don't show the buy signal anymore, but we had one a couple of weeks ago when we closed above the upper 280s, mid 290s, setting up the low 350s to the 356.76 speed line as at that time a 1 to 2 week target. We reach it in about 3 to 5 days, and we've been testing this area now, especially the low 350s for the last full week. We backed away on Wednesday, and in fact we did close below, just below I should say, a short-term channel bottom. I think this is beginning to set up as a topping process. There's also a scare right now in the bond markets. I would encourage you today, that is Thursday, I'll be putting out a video on the TLT, an update. It is presently violating long-term support, and if it closes below it on Friday, tomorrow, it sets off a long-term sell signal that should result in higher rates of the order of about 1.5% over the next, we'll say by the end of the year. And so we've got a spending bill that hasn't passed yet, that if it does pass, will open an even wider hole in our deficit. Our debt to equity ratio, or our debt to GDP ratio, I should say, will get even more ridiculous. Let's put it that way, over the next 5 years. And so this is scaring the bond market, and it's scaring the stock market. And I'm not saying the Tesla sell-off is because of all that, but this is a broader base sell-off in the stock market that did occur on Wednesday. And holding below 337.11, after having tested the low 350s longer-term resistance, will keep selling pressures building. I don't see 294.96 today, but we certainly could today perhaps test 321.55. And this is a level that I'm comfortable buying on an intraday basis, but really no longer on a 3 to 5 day swing trade. I think your 3 to 5 day swing trade has just emerged with the settlement below 337.11. And so that is a level, assuming we open below 337.11, that you can sell on a daily basis for the day itself. You might even sell it. I think it deserves like another day. I mean, if you can see on this chart, it was pretty close to that channel bottom. But really the point I'm making is, after having tested long-term resistance, if you didn't sell strength as the market pushed into the low 350s, your next and actually go with sell signal, which is usually a little more reliable, is selling on weakness. And this is our first sign of weakness, closing below 337.11. But it was by such a narrow margin that it does deserve another day. Now, I think if we gap lower today, in other words, open below yesterday's 332.20 low, that in itself is a sign of weakness. Bottom line, opening below 337.11 will keep 321.55 in reach today. And if we close a little lower on the day, that is to say, yes, below 337.11, our sell signal, and we have been anticipating, as I've been mentioning, as we're testing all of this resistance, and I want to bring you to this chart here in just a minute, but I've been talking about 294.96 as our 2 to 3 week target. I have amended that, because what I'm finding now is we've got another formation here that is longer term in scope, but it also correlates really well with the rising 2/3 speed line. So they really converge here. In other words, I do see 263.40 as kind of our big picture objective now. 2 to 3 weeks, 3 to 5 weeks, hard to say, but somewhere in there, holding below 351.39 to 356.79, will keep 263.40 as a 3 to 5 week objective or sooner. And if we close a little lower today, that is to say below 337.11, that sort of nudges it more firmly in the bearish rotation scenario, whereby 294.96 in reach by the end of next week, where we can place a weekly low and perhaps round up for a week or so. We'll see what the chart looks like at that time. But once again, if you're a 3 to 5 week swing trader, you're selling the 350s, as I've been recommending now for over a week, and you're buying back, rather than the 290s, as I've been mentioning, you're buying back in the 260s, all of which are changing gradually. So it's a bigger picture bearish rotation. 263.40 if tested over the next 3 to 5 weeks, able to contain selling through all of July, and we can round up again to the speed line at 356.76. It would be a settlement below 263.40 over the next, say, month or two that then would clearly indicate a test of this 5-year channel bottom at 158.13. Let's go back to the upside. Do I need to cover the upside more? Yeah, let me continue with this chart. And that is to say that if we open at or above, especially if we open back above 337.11, the 351.39 level in reach again today, perhaps. Once again, the beginning of a wide yet gradually narrowing zone of longer-term overhead resistance that ends at 356.76. This area all converges into a single point by early next week. It is our ceiling of resistance through June. We've tested it, below which 263.40 remains a 3 to 5 week objective. Now, if we happen to close above the 356.76 descending two-thirds speed line, and I don't see that today, but if so, 383.76 likely by the end of next week. 427.01 within 2 to 3 to 5 weeks. And yes, if we happen to close the week or any week above the low 350s, that area that I've been mentioning now, I do see by the end of the year possibly 513.90, a long-term 5-year channel bottom. So this low 350s is significant. We've been testing it. We've fallen away from it. On Wednesday, we closed just below a 1-week channel bottom, which is generally a sign of follow-through selling. 263.40 is a 3 to 5 week target. If we, assuming we open below 337.11 today, the 321.55 level likely where we can bottom out on an intraday basis. I will say that if we close today below 321.55, we should by the end of next week see 294.96. So it is a bit stair step, but I don't want that to blur the big picture, which is to say that, holding below this low 350s, mid 350s will keep the mid 260s and climbing as a 3 to 5 week downside objective. This week we put out some stock picks. Actually, yesterday we put out a stock pick. Last week we put out 2. We do 2 every week. Recent stock picks: Rubric, GitLab, Wingstop, Landbridge, etc., etc. You should check them out. Go to wickedstocks.com. Take advantage of our 5-day free trial, where you'll also see our daily triple Q and SPY analysis, weekly Apple stock analysis. And I'm going to leave it at that. Go to wickedstocks.com and check us out. I'll be back tomorrow, of course, with Friday's Tesla, and you have a great day.